Guys, my mom told me about something that happened to her a couple of days ago, and it's pretty funny, I think, and I'm sure you'll think it's funny too, more than likely. But it ties in with today's video. You know, my mom, she is 72 years old. She's still really, really smart, and she likes to go online and she likes to play games online. And it's not the kind of games that teenagers play with all the action and things like that. She likes to play, you know, word games and things like that with other people. Well, she went online the other day and she was doing that, and the other lady in New Jersey, I think that she told me it's New Jersey. I asked my mom where she was from, said she was from New Jersey, and asked my mom where she was from, and my mom said Tennessee. Well, this lady, and I use that term loosely, lady, because anyone that would act this way isn't really a lady, in my opinion, or kind of a smart ass, pretty much what it boils down to. But anyway, she told her she was from Tennessee, and the woman from New Jersey that was playing the game against my mom was going to said, well, this ought to be really, really easy because everyone in Tennessee combined don't have a IQ of over 50. And my mom said that, she looked at that, she said, all right, I'll show you something. And my mom didn't answer her back, didn't comment back to her or anything like that, because she was obviously trying to pick an argument or something. I don't know what was going on with that woman in New Jersey. But anyway, they continued to play the word game, and my mom said that my mom beat her so badly in that word game that before it was over, the other woman quit. That's how bad that my mom just pretty much made her look like she was stupid after saying what she said about people in Tennessee. It was pretty funny, I think, especially when my mom tells it. But anyway, it's amazing to me how many people think that way. How people think that people in Tennessee, people in Appalachia, people in the South, but especially people in Appalachia and Tennessee, they think that you're stupid. If you live in, you know, Appalachian Mountains, if you live in Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, they think you're stupid somehow. They think they're somehow above. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. And that's obvious from the comments I get, some of the things people say, like the incident with my mom playing that game online. It is amazing. And a lot of this is because these people want to feel superior. You know, you hear about people being prejudiced against black people, for example. People are prejudiced against each other, white people against white people, depending on the location that you live at. You know, they'll look down on you if you're from Tennessee and they're from somewhere else, or you're from Appalachia and they're from somewhere else. They want to look down. They want to put you down. They want to think they are better and superior. That is a form of, it's not really racism. I don't know what it'd be called, but that's kind of the same thing. It's prejudice is what it is. But people have seen movies is one thing, I think, and they think that the movies is reality. You know, things like Wrong Turn, that horror movie that had like 8 or 10 different movies. Wrong Turn, I think that was in Virginia, supposed to be, and people would get in the wrong area, and they would run into these backwoods. They would run into these backwoods redneck hillbillies, and they would and the hillbillies was all crazy and everything, and that was a stereotype. Beverly Hillbillies is another stereotype. There's all kinds of stereotypes that people see on television and think that they're real when they're really completely not nowhere near the truth. Another one I remember watching was Next of Kin with Patrick Swayze, and that was a pretty good movie actually, but it still yet kind of showed people that was in Appalachia as being backward, being backwoods, being less educated, being less mentally able to function compared to, you know, people from New Jersey or New York or California or wherever, because everyone thinks they're better than everyone else is. They have that prejudice. And like I said, the movies doesn't help, and the way people's attitude is doesn't help. But it's amazing to me that someone thought that they could just beat my mother so easily, you know, in a word game, because they were from New Jersey and my mom was from Tennessee. It's dumb, it really is, and it shows their ignorance, because it's not the way that it is. And a lot of people will think, and I've seen comments like this online too, that everyone in Appalachia is on drugs, undereducated, high school dropouts, living in poverty, and that's not the case. You know, we have some of that, but everyone else does too. You tell me anywhere in the United States of America, any county, any town, you're going to have drug addicts, you're going to have people who are criminals, thieves. It don't matter where you're at. It's not just Appalachia. And a lot of people try to act like it's just Appalachian and everyone down here is that way. And that's simply not the case. Like I said, there's definitely drug usage here. They are everywhere. It's no worse here than it is anywhere else. Most people here aren't on drugs. The vast majority aren't on drugs. Maybe 7 or 8%, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's very little, because I don't know many people personally that is on drugs. Very few that I already know of that's on drugs. It's not what people think it is. But they think everyone's strung out on methamphetamine down here. Everyone's making moonshine. Everyone is living in the mountains in a little cabin like this all the time on methamphetamine or something, and got a first grade education and can't read and write, living in poverty. And it's nothing like that at all. I mean, there's some poverty. There's poverty everywhere though. There's poor people everywhere. But the majority of the people here live in nice homes actually. Drive new cars, new trucks, have $20,000 UTVs, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, tractors. I mean, it's not the poverty-stricken place you would think that it is if you are in the city. And you know, most of these people here, I would say, have more actual things than someone in New Jersey does. Not everyone, but you know, most people on average. It's hard to get this, put this into words what I'm thinking here in my head right now. Like most people here own land, they may own a farm, they own their own vehicles, they own, like I said, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, guns, fishing equipment, bass boats. And what does most people in places like New York City own? New Jersey. I mean, really? But they look down on people down here as being these rednecks. They think we're like the Beverly Hillbillies and living in a little one-room cabin in the woods and never seen a television set. I mean, really, it's funny. It is really, really funny if you think about it. It's sad, but it's funny too. These people still yet have so much prejudice and think they're so much better than someone is in the South or in Appalachia just because they live up north. They live in New Jersey, you know, Rhode Island, wherever. Up north, usually the Northeast is usually the worst for this actually. It seems like from the people I've met, but you have it everywhere. I worked with a guy that came from Florida, and he was worked at the hardware store I worked at. And I'm sure some of you on here probably worked there too at the time that's watching this video right now. If you are, hey, how you doing? Anyway, he came from Florida and worked at the hardware store where I worked at. And he was the biggest know-it-all prick I've ever seen in my life. He thought he knew everything. He thought he ran the store, and he wasn't anything. He just worked there. But he would try to boss people around and thought that he knew everything about everything. And he was always talking about how they did it where he came from. And I'm like, really? Look where you're at, dude. You're not in Florida anymore. Learn to assimilate. Learn to be like the natives. Learn to respect the natives. Learn and realize you're not any more intelligent than anyone else is. But he sure thought that he was because he was from Florida. I don't know what part of Florida he was from. And I'm not saying Florida people are like this, but he's just an example of the way some people think about people in Appalachia. It's crazy. I actually dated a woman that she came from Baltimore, Maryland. Odd, it really is. She came from Baltimore, Maryland, and me and her ended up together. But she was working at Walmart, actually. And I was going through the line at Walmart, and I was checking my things. I forgot what I had, what I was buying now. And, you know, she looked pretty decent. I could tell she wasn't from around here because, you know, her accent from me from Baltimore, Maryland. So I told her, I said, give me your phone number. She wrote it down and gave it to me. So I got a hold of her, I called her and talked to her for a little bit. We agreed to meet up, and then, you know, we started talking more, we started hanging out, and we started seeing each other there for a while. And she was really nice and everything, and got along pretty good. But she had the same, she said that she thought the same thing before she moved down here. The people in this area was like the Beverly Hillbillies. And she said she moved down here and realized that it wasn't anything like this, like she thought it was at all. It's completely the opposite. And she said it's some of the nicest people that she ever met. And she said I was one of the best guys she ever dated. I mean, she might have said that to every guy she dated, I don't know. I mean, who knows anymore with women. But she did say that she liked it here. The people here was nice, and it wasn't anything like she thought that it was. And she said that most people where she came from thought that it was like that, thought it was like the Beverly Hillbillies. Wrong turn, you know, something like that. A bunch of crazy redneck lunatics drinking on methamphetamine. That's what she thought that it was. And she realized that it wasn't that way at all. It's amazing. It really is amazing that people think that about Appalachia. It isn't like that at all. Most people here are literate, they can read. I've actually written 5 books myself. I was a Paladin Press best-selling author for Paladin Press. I've written hundreds of articles. I've been published in American Survival Guide magazine, Backwoodsman magazine, Survivalist magazine. I have been featured in Fox News, Daily Mail Online. I mean, so that ought to tell you something right there. I may have an accent, but I'm not dumb. And most people here in this area aren't dumb. But like I said, like everywhere else, there's some people who aren't that bright. There's some people who's on drugs, but it's a very small minority. It isn't a majority like people seem to think that it is. It's a very small minority. And you're going to find this no matter where you are. Any city, any town, any county, you're going to have people with a lower IQ, you're going to have people on drugs, you're going to have a few people that are thieves. Just like they do, just like here, it's going to be everywhere else. But people look down here and, oh, those people in Appalachia, those people in Tennessee, a bunch of redneck hillbillies, Beverly Hillbillies, living in a cabin, been to the 6th grade, maybe if they're lucky, can't read and write, on drugs, still you blind, dumb as a rock, squeal like a peg. Remember that out in that movie Deliverance? That was back in the 70s, I think that movie came out, 77 maybe, Deliverance. And I watched that movie a long time ago, and see, they made the native people that lived in the area out to be crazy rednecks, crazy hillbillies that would do real dirty things and murder people. And I mean, it was a stereotype. And you've seen this over and over again in TVs and movies, the stereotypes. And that is why I think that a lot of people who haven't lived here, hasn't visited, don't know anything about the area, they think what they see on television is real. What they saw in the movies, they think is real. When it is it at all? It isn't even close to being the truth. Like I said, most people here live in pretty nice homes. They drive new vehicles, new trucks, $75,000 pickups, side-by-sides, four-wheelers. I mean, really? It's not the poverty-stricken place that you would think that it is. But there is poverty, like there are everywhere else. There's crazy people, but there are everywhere else. It's not just unique to this area. And everyone in this area should not be looked at by outsiders based on what they have saw in a movie or a television show, because it isn't factual, it isn't reality. And I would say that the woman from New Jersey that my mom was playing that video game against, I would say she was like, what just happened here? I just got beat really, really badly in a word game, which is a mental game, education. I got beat so badly that I got mad and had to quit the game. What happened? Are these redneck hillbillies in Tennessee smarter than I am here in New Jersey? I wonder what she was thinking when she got beat so badly by my mom in that video game. I'd like to have known. These birds around here are beautiful. I actually set out bird feeders. I have a hummingbird feeder right up there. I have over there in my building, my woodshed over there, where I keep my wood, my firewood, and my mower. I have 2 different sets of birds that build over there every year, have for the last 3 or 4 years. Behind my house here, I have under the porch, the way it sets up, that back, it looks like a room, but it's actually a porch. They have a flat place on top of the 2x6 post, and they build up there, and there's like 3 nests through there, and I allow them to be here because they don't bother anything. I don't let them build here on the front porch or anywhere where I hurt anything, but I encourage the birds to be here. I like to hear them, I like to see them. I feed the birds, I let them nest. I have bird nesties, or bird houses up down around the fence line. So I encourage all these birds to be here because I really like it because it's really peaceful in the summertime. Beautiful sound. Hear that? Sounds a lot better than the big city, doesn't it? Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.